Okay, welcome to the InternNE powered by Nebraska webinar. Today we have Kailyn Melsha, new last name, with us
Yeah.
today to talk about effective student recruitment as we head into the career fair season that is now kind of year round, but it definitely ramps up here in a bit. But before we get started, we'll do a couple of intros. Maybe we'll start with Michaela, and then Kailyn will have you kick us off.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm Michaela Sandy. I am the Academy Experiences Liaison here at Grand Island Senior High. I work with students for different work-based learning opportunities, such as job shadows, something as simple as that, or internships and apprenticeships I handle as well.
Perfect. And then I am Kailyn Melsha. I officially got married 2 weeks ago to my husband, Kyle. I've been working at Mutual of Omaha for 10 years, all within the talent acquisition space. And prior to that, I received my undergraduate from Creighton University. So Mutual was my first stop after graduation. And then my primary role at Mutual is managing the internship program, kind of from that corporate perspective within HR, and then creating and fostering college relationships.
Okay. I'll start with the first question. And can you just tell us like a few key elements that you think makes Mutual of Omaha's internship program successful?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's quite a few elements, but just a few different elements that I feel like really make an internship program successful and have really helped us grow and expand our internship program is the first being meaningful work. So throughout the 12 weeks at Mutual of Omaha, we really make sure that those interns are given real world work. We're not going to provide them with anything that associates don't want to do, wouldn't be doing if they weren't here, or case studies that don't really impact the business. While our interns are working for us, they're working alongside associates, doing really the exact same work that the rest of the team is doing. So that really helps them get to feel like what it would be like to be in the role after graduation. The next would be mentorship. So we make sure we have the right managers and teams for each intern. So interns have a lot of questions. They are not experts in the field by any means, and they're wanting to learn and grow. So we really need to make sure that we have the right team to help guide them, as well as provide meaningful feedback to them to succeed throughout the internship and after. The next would be networking exposure. So we make sure our interns have unique opportunities to network with not only peers, but senior leaders, executives, including our chairman and CEO through multiple different events and touch points. We really want them to take away who Mutual of Omaha is, in addition to gaining that work experience, because it's not all work when you're in a job. You have to make sure you're enjoying that culture as well. And then we also make sure that they're learning about our values and our employee resources groups, just to make sure that they're gaining those insights of what it would be like to work here. And then finally, I feel like the final element would be making sure that we have great retention. So we want to keep great talent at Mutual of Omaha. Our internship is a great way to fill those entry-level roles. And so many of our internships are used as a feeder pool into development and rotation programs after graduation. So those are just a few key elements that I would say have really helped make our internship a success and continue to grow.
That's awesome. You have a really holistic approach to that. I love that. So tell us about when you're attending a career fair, you can see a large number of students. What have you found to be most effective in attracting your top intern candidates?
Yeah. So I would say the biggest is just word of mouth for us at Mutual. So when you have a great opportunity, students are going to talk about that great opportunity. So we receive many referrals each year from past and current associates. And then the next would really be connecting with student organizations. So that's really a great way to talk to targeted audiences. Career fairs are great for that brand awareness, making sure you're out in the community and they see you in those larger settings. But the more targeted events with student organizations are really going to allow you to have that connection with the students that you're really looking for. And then finally, I would say having the right people at the events. So we've really found that we have the best luck attracting intern candidates when we have associates that are in their shoes or have been in their shoes recently. So a lot of times this means taking those interns that are currently with us year round or those that have just converted with us. This allows them to share a really compelling story of what it would be like to work for us after or still in school. And they can see kind of, again, what they would look like at Mutual of Omaha, and they have a place here.
Yeah, that's such a good point too, to think about like bringing a near peer to the career fair. That makes a lot of sense. So as far as like attracting diverse and candidates, how does Mutual go about that, and how are you intentional about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we really make sure that there's several ways to ensure that we're getting an inclusive applicant pool within our internship and all of our jobs. But the first thing that we do is we really make sure that we're recruiting at different schools. So that's locally with our core business schools of, UNL, UNO, Creighton. But then we've also taken a national approach to make sure that we're recruiting from those diverse backgrounds, educations, and skill sets. And then we also make sure that we're utilizing a diverse slate of applicants in our pools. So really what this means is the recruiter will review the pool to ensure that we have diverse representation moving throughout the interview process. In addition to this, not only do we want to make sure that our applicant pool is diverse, we want to make sure that our interview panels are diverse as well. So we really just make sure that we have a diverse representation on those interview panels, diverse thoughts, backgrounds, genders, maybe skills, and job roles on the team. And then just to kind of really like bring it home for DEI within Mutual, we also make sure that we ask our applicants about DEI. So all of our interns will get asked at least one DEI question during the interview, just to make sure that they understand the importance of DEI for Mutual.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us, what does the company's culture play? What role does that play in recruiting and retaining your interns? And then how do you go about communicating this culture during that recruitment process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Interns are inundated with information. So you really need to make sure that you're getting your culture out there to make sure that they understand what it would be like to work for us. So at Mutual of Omaha, we think our culture is really special, and we make sure to expose that to our interns starting day one. So our interns, when they first start with us, they all have the ability to come to the home office at the beginning of the summer internship, really just to spend a few days with us, getting to know their managers, their teammates, and ultimately really the company that they're going to be working for over the next 12 weeks. Also, like I've mentioned a little bit previously, we make sure we have multiple events throughout the summer to really showcase what our culture looks like at Mutual. They get to talk to our senior leaders and hear from them. They get to learn about our employee resource groups. They're able to attend all of those events that our employee resource groups have throughout the summer. And then we make sure to get them in connection with our DEI department. And we have them all go through our internal culture shaping course called Mutually Connected. So we really make sure that they are ingrained in the culture starting early and throughout those 12 weeks, because ultimately we are using this as a retention and feeder pool into those postgraduate opportunities. So we want to make sure that they understand the culture that they would be working for long term. And then like mentioned a little bit in the previous question, just during our interview process, we're bringing in those associates that are close to them. When they see someone that looks like them, that was recently in their shoes, they can see like the culture from their perspective, sometimes not from like the senior leader perspective. It's great to hear from them about the culture, but maybe they don't have the same perspective as a recent graduate. So making sure that we bring those right people into the recruiting early on so that they can see that really has helped us showcase the culture that we have.
So can you share some of the more innovative techniques Mutual's used recently to attract talent?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are constantly kind of shifting what recruiting looks like. And I think that's very normal for a lot of different companies. Like, what is the way to get to applicants? And interns have that unique perspective of they are, again, having a company probably come talk to them once a day, once a week during the recruitment kind of time frame on campus. So we have started utilizing social media, and we found that that's a really important tool to not only create brand awareness in our local schools, but especially our new campuses. So we start running campaigns prior to attending those campuses a few weeks before so that they start to see us virtually prior to seeing us in person. Then they can come up to our booth and say, I've seen something about you, and it starts the conversation. Um, Also, one thing we started here the past year or two is utilizing Yellow. So we build an early careers talent community through our campus events and then market to them monthly via email. So really, this is very simple. We just have a simple QR code that they scan when we're on campus. This allows them to complete a form, and then they are automatically enrolled in the early careers community where they'll get those monthly emails. But then this has also helped us that we can target specific areas of interest. When an intern role needs sort of amplification, if we don't have enough applicants, we're not having the right type of applicants, we can go back to that talent community, send them a quick email saying that we have these opportunities for them, which has really helped us be able to continue the conversation with interns after the career fair and those events. And then finally, we've really increased our number of videos of our interns sharing what they like about Mutual of Omaha, our culture, what they're working on. So again, this helps just have that kind of human factor. They can see a student like them working in a role that they might like for us at Mutual as well. So it really helps them relate to the role a lot better than just a recruiter like myself talking to them about the position when many times I've never been in that role. And then I also will note a little bit on this is we rely on our interns to tell us where they want to be targeted and how they want to be recruited. So we survey our interns and we ask them, where do they want to go to on social media and see information about companies? And they really stated that LinkedIn is still their number one resource to connect with companies. And then those other social platforms, they prefer to keep personal, which was something that was kind of a light bulb moment for us. We thought we needed to attract them on all these different platforms, but focusing on LinkedIn has helped us have a better direct approach.
Awesome. So you have talked about your holistic approach that you have with recruiting and retaining your interns. Can you tell us about the partnerships that you have with the universities and the colleges? And in that recruitment strategy, what is that like and how do you foster these relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I've mentioned multiple times, college students are flooded with information. From any week, they could be targeted on Handshake, LinkedIn, have a campus tabling every day of the week in the student union, have the career fairs, have their student org presentations, and really the list goes on and on and on. So with everyone targeting these same students, it's really hard to be noticed. So that's really where the strong relationships become so important with the university and college career services at the minimum. So having those strong relationships, we really have another advocate to our positions with these students. So the college partners can put students in touch with a recruiter at Mutual that they actually know and have talked to and have a relationship with. They can also share information about the company because they take time to get to know who we are, what our roles look like, past interns that have worked for us. They can really share a lot more about us than they could if we weren't a partner. And then ultimately, the end goal would be that we have such a great partnership that they would start sharing those rockstar students with us that are looking for internships or postgraduate opportunities, that we'd be that number one person that they would send an email to when someone reaches out to them looking. So really, you can do all those things on campus without having that partnership, but the partnership is really going to help you set yourself apart in such a competitive landscape where interns are interviewing at probably 5 to 10 companies and getting 2 to 3 offers at the very minimum. This helps you set yourself apart from those other companies that might not be doing all of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just love to think about how impactful it is when an educator who I trust says, hey, this is a good student or candidate for an open. Good point.
Yeah. The company all of a sudden seems legitimate for some reason. Like it's like a light bulb that it's like, okay, this is a company that I could see myself for because Professor X is really interested and they're telling me about it. So yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense. Okay, so can you tell us about some of the common challenges that your team faces during recruiting season? I'm sure a lot of it, like you said, is the candidates being bombarded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of nailed that one right there. So the biggest challenge is just the sheer amount of volume of applicants. So I'm sure plenty of other companies can relate to this, but we post our internships for the entire recruitment season on college campuses. So generally that's about a month to a month and a half. And we end up with thousands of applications to look through. So that can be really challenging when you have that many applications and only, maybe 10 to 15 positions that you're actually looking for in that posting. Um, so really we've started looking at just how we can look through that pool and make the most sense. So thinking about things like obviously minimum requirements is the number one, but then looking at partner schools. So those schools that we have started building relationships with, where those applicants, some if they need to be hybrid or in person, looking through those. But yeah, it's a lot of applicants that you just have to look through and find those rock stars in. And then another challenge that we're beginning to face is really the work environment. So at Mutual of Omaha, most of our associates work remotely. However, we are seeing in many cases college students really want to be in the office. So we have combated this by having really a flexibility in our work environment that allows students to work where they feel is best for them. So as I mentioned earlier, we do invite all of our interns into the home office that first week to get it acclimated with working in the office as well as learning about our culture, so that if they choose to do so and work in the office throughout the summer, they'll feel comfortable about the simple things of how do I get to my desk, how do I check in with security, where are the restrooms and the printers, so those sort of things. So we really want to make sure that they're working where they feel they will work best, and allowing that flexibility has helped kind of combat that challenge when most of our full-time associates are working remotely.
Awesome. Tell us how you go about evaluating the success of your internship program and what metrics do you use to do so?
Yeah. So I would say the biggest one isn't really a metric that we look at year to year, but just the positive feedback from our past interns. So like I mentioned, word of mouth is our number one referral source to get great applicants. So when we get that positive feedback on our surveys that we send through the summer, we know we're doing something right. We have them complete about 2 to 3 surveys throughout the summer, really to get a pulse check on how they're doing, and then to make sure that we can intervene if we need to. So this has really allowed us to pivot throughout the years and give the interns the best experience that they're looking for. Another great indicator is the growth of the internship program. So not only growing it within the departments that currently have interns, but also looking at the growth to new departments. That's been a really good indicator on if the program is a success. We have expanded our company or our internship program very organically. And many times we get new departments involved just because another intern manager has raved about the program in an area. They talk and then they decide that it would be a success for them to have an intern too. And then, like I mentioned a little bit, referrals are also a sign of a successful internship program. So the more referrals we get from past interns, the more that we know that the internship is the right opportunity for college students. And then kind of a key metric that we are utilizing is the conversion rate. So I've mentioned multiple times that we're using this internship program as a feeder pool into the entry-level positions. So we're making sure that that conversion rate from intern to full-time is a successful one, because that really shows that we're hiring the right talent in the internship program that the managers are ultimately going to want to keep long-term.
Great. Okay, so what advice would you give to HR leaders who are new to recruiting interns, especially during career fair season?
Yeah, I would say start small. It is very easy to get a lot of excitement and want to start a big, robust internship program because you see the success it can bring in your company. But start with just a few key areas of the business and make sure you have buy-in from those areas. It's never going to work if you don't have the buy-in from the department, because ultimately they're going to be the ones managing the intern. So really start with those few roles that have the buy-in. The managers see how it could bring success to the organization, and make sure that they have a clear project plan laid out. because students are going to ask that. That's probably the number one question that students will ask when you tell them about an internship opportunity is, what are the specific projects? What am I going to be working on? What skills am I going to be learning? So if you can't share that during a recruitment process, they are going to go to another company that can, because they want to make sure that they're going to have a meaningful internship for that summer. And then once you have that solid internship program in those few areas, expand every year. Like I mentioned, we are very organic in our growth. We want to make sure it's the right fit for the department. We would never want them to have an intern if they don't have the capacity to do so. So make sure you have that solid groundwork in those few areas before you're expanding each year after that. And then I would say the biggest one is be authentic. So every company has something special about them. So make sure you're really highlighting that in the recruiting process. I think that goes back to how students are inundated with information. Well, if every company starts looking the same because they're getting the same spiel, nothing's going to really set you apart. So make sure you're being authentic to what your culture looks like. Maybe it's like the work-life balance, or that you're casual dress, or that you have free lunches or something, but really just be authentic to who you are. Don't sell something that you don't actually have, because interns are going to pick up on that.
Absolutely. My head is still on the fact that you said you have thousands of applicants. Like, let's go back to metrics and success. To me, that is probably a pretty big indicator of success right there. That's outstanding. But can you tell us about a success story that stands out to you from an intern that you've had in the recent past at Mutual of Omaha? And what can other HR leaders learn from this example?
Yeah. So this was a hard one for me to, when I was thinking about things, to come up with one success story. I would encourage those that are interested in specific ones to go onto our website to look at some of the career pathways that our interns have had and where they're at now. So I would just kind of say holistically with this, we have senior leaders who have started as interns. Many of the people that are running our internship programs within the departments were past interns. And that honestly is one of the most rewarding parts of my job, is seeing those interns succeeding years after the internship. When we were in the building, it was always so fun to run into them in the hallway and hear where they were at, not only just in their job, but personally, and getting married, having kids, and really like growing their life at Mutual of Omaha. So really the biggest takeaway I would say is you never know where someone's career path is going to take them. So giving a college student an opportunity for a 12-week long internship doesn't really seem like a big deal. However, it is to them, and it could really jumpstart a long career with your company. So when you're thinking of that, and you're thinking of the project work that you're doing and the programming that you have, make sure that you're making the internship meaningful so that they want to stay. And then you have these lifelong associates that started and could end their career at Mutual, all from starting with one 12-week long internship in the summer.
This has been so insightful, Kailyn. I'm excited to open this up for questions. And right now I don't see any in the Q&A, but is there any final feedback or thoughts that you have for HR leaders? Questions we didn't ask you, things you want to share?
Yeah. I just want to thank you guys all for listening to me. I've been doing this for now 10 years, and I am still learning every single career season of what interns want, what college students want in a recruiting process. And it is something that's going to be constantly evolving. I think that's the biggest takeaway too from recruiting interns. You might think you have a recruiting process that is really successful year one, and then year two, it might not be. And you just have to constantly see how the generation is changing. I think that also says a lot. So just constantly be looking and looking at the research and what students are looking for. And don't be afraid to change and pivot, and that's okay. That's showing that there's growth in the program. And then also, if you guys have any further conversations or want to have further conversation with me, I'm an open book. Like, I will gladly share anything about what's been successful for us, what hasn't been successful for us, what our process looks like. So don't hesitate to reach out to me after this call if you don't have any questions now.
Awesome. Is it okay if I share your email address in the chat?
Yeah. Yep. Go for it.
Michaela, any final thoughts from you or questions from you? We still don't have any questions in the Q&A.
I don't, but I think this is awesome. I think I do have one actually. Did you start as an intern yourself?
I didn't. That is the one thing I always get asked. No, I started as a very entry level role at Mutual, and honestly never really thought I was going to stay full time and long term. I think at colleges they share, work a couple years at a company, then go to another company to get a new experience. And the great thing about Mutual is you can continue to grow all within the culture that you enjoy the most. And so that has been like a huge success story for me. I had other internships. I think internships are a great way to get in the door at a company. And if I think a failed internship is sometimes even more important than a successful internship because it helps really the interns grow and see what they like and most importantly what they don't like. So internships really help in a large way to make sure that people are really learning where they want to end up, and then they can find an internship hopefully at Mutual or one of the companies that's on here, and have honed in on what they're really interested in and can extend long term.
Yeah, and I can vouch for Mutual being a great company. Yes, best company I worked for outside of what I'm doing now. I love every so. Anyway, Kailyn, thanks so much for being with us today. Michaela,
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll catch y'all soon. This recording will be available later as well, and Kailyn's email address is in the chat. So
Perfect. Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.